Hello and welcome back. We are here continuing our UK run here in Victoria 3. Last episode, we deposed Victoria, the namesake of the game, and instead installed Charles Dickens, who is a fantastic character who has two really good character traits of cautious and also literary, which allow you to accrue very, very little infamy when you're going about your business, as one does. We also have persistent and honorable, which are decent traits, but are not kind of what we're writing home about. But now we have this big revolution brewing, so I think we have to fight it. I don't think there's a way for us to avoid fighting it without somehow... We can't exile guys, we can't really do too much, and so I think we're gonna have to fight it, unfortunately, but we're prepared for fighting it. This is what we have done. We are also now no longer on the Thunderdome patch. When recording, we're on 1.7.4, and so the AI we expect to start behaving a little bit differently, and this also opens up new opportunities for various things, because now you can, for example, reduce autonomy on someone, even if they're not at the low autonomy kind of score. I believe we will have the reduced autonomy action on a whole bunch of these guys. It just costs a full gamut of infamy if you do it like that. So if we take a look here, this is like just an example of one of the things they changed, and we do annex subject. We can annex everyone, it looks like. Oh, we can annex someone even if they're a dominion? I think some of these guys are dominions, not protectors, but that's infamy, interesting. But we will not get the decreased cost of infamy on that annexation when possible. Also, in the interim, we put in a request that they pass no migration controls, and they haven't yet tried to do this. And so they are attempting to pass no migration controls. Defers at acting it, accepts the imposition of no migration controls on them, but is elected to carry it out in due time. So they are going to try and pass that. We hope that they do, because if they get no migration controls, we can siphon off pops from the British Raj. But we will be back with a war, with a civil war, and also us fighting our nemesis in Russia. So hopefully we can fight both these wars at once. We really do have a lot of military kind of coming on up, and we're hoping that it is up in time. And so maybe we kick some of these up to the front of the queue. Again, it is important to build up military in the capital if you're going to be fighting a rev, because you will always have the capital state staying loyal. To maybe give us a chance of not having to fight the Civil War, we are actually bolstering... We have so much authority. We are bolstering everyone who is not part of the Civil War, or looking like they might become part of the Civil War, with the Industrialists, and we are suppressing the people who are part of the Civil War, except we're not suppressing them. Why aren't we suppressing them? Let's maybe stop bolstering them and instead suppress the trade unions, which is a weird kind of play pattern. Normally we don't like to suppress them, but we will for now. So maybe we can get this below 150, but probably not, or below 100, but it's probably not going to happen. We're probably going to fight. Sadly, minister taken hostage, event for the revolutionary movement. One of the king's most trusted ministers, Charles Dickens, trust in himself, unfortunately. He's got a chat of his son, Intelligentsia, but has been kidnapped. Understand this, Charles's life is in your hands. If he has to die, his blood will be on your hands, along with the blood of so many of those people of Great Britain. You have 48 hours, etc., etc. And so the king, Charles Dickens, must decide whether Charles Dickens is ransomed by the King Charles Dickens. We're gonna say yes, because the entire point of this is getting Charles Dickens, and the rev's popping anyway, so there's really nothing we can do at this point. We have raked back some of our bolsters and suppresses, and instead we have put down edicts for recruitment efforts, enlistment efforts, so that the training rate will be much higher, to help prepare us for this war by both recruiting up in China as well as in the home counties specifically. Even doing promote social mobility as well, because they will have problems with qualifications specifically. So just trying to get these barracks up and coming, much faster than we otherwise would be able to prepare for this rev while fighting Russia. Notably, we should be kind of in okay-ish shape here in Circassia. I don't think they've occupied any of it. We do have to get some of it back. They have occupied some of it, and we have this really insane defensive bonus here. And we're doing okay right now, but the problem is when this rev pops, we'll suddenly not be doing very good. which is hella awkward because we also have these other things. They are trying to humiliate us, transfer Netherlands, and get war reparations. We're trying to liberate Kazakhstan, which means we can't enforce them out. So this actually might be just this wild, sticky bit of a ride. Hudson Bay's doing some things, as they do, but the caveat to all this is once this rev pops, we will be getting assistance from, the British Raj, and I think that maybe we even look at the character interactions that we have with Persia, and I think Persia is exempted from military service, and I think we're going to put an end to that as well. I think we're going to say, yo, dog, my guy, you got to help out with this time. You got to help out this time around, because this might be a little bit of a close one. I think that they're not exempted, so we probably should have had them exempted. We could decrease autonomy on Netherlands so that they will have to help out. And then where is Persia? And then Persia, we will remove the exemption, which of course will make them want to help out, or that'll make them upset, but it is what it is. As far as tech goes, I think we've been kind of rummaging through the society sphere for quite a while. We've actually gotten several society techs that are tier 3, and we could go for human rights here. We definitely want to be generally ahead of time on things. I think we finished up shift work. Yeah, it looks like we finished up shift work, and so what can we do that's going to be kind of more, well, I mean, it's a little bit tempting if we were about to finish a military tech to, like, push it through a little bit faster, but I think we'll just go handy-dandy dynamite. We could go for rubber mastication into vulcanization. This would also be fine. Yeah, let's do that. That'll be more ahead of time. Even if someone manages to research rubber mastication, this will be more of an ahead of time thing, and by going ahead of time when we are on the bleeding edge of tech, we will help to ensure that we get more technology spread throughout the course of the game. Alright, this is probably just a bit too much. We had decided to help out France because they're bankrolling us, but we see that Spain and Belgium have both sided against just regular old France. France, just regular old, is really unlikely to win here, and so I think we're actually going to stay on the fence instead of helping out France, even though they're giving us a bankroll, and we'll just let them get crushed instead, and deal with the French religious revolt instead. It's unfortunate we can't sway to the other side, but Spain might. There's a chance that Spain can bankroll us sometime down the road. Belgium, we have been trying to pull into our block and just kind of don't want to antagonize these guys. And so France, it doesn't matter that we're taking the relations hit because it's not going to. They're not going to be able to do anything with us anyways, and we might even come over here in order to get the positive relations reset on all these guys, and the fact that France is going to be gone anyways, so these guys should reset their attitudes from antagonistic to genial, and these guys should have good attitudes as well. They are major powers, so we couldn't sway for a bankroll on them, and this also means it so we would have had to commit military here in this regard, and we can't afford to commit military because obviously we have something. Garibaldi riles up the peasantry. Please stop, my guy. Stop. We could exile him. Becomes an agitator, no longer a politician. Huh. That's an intriguing one because a big reason why the trade unions are pissed is because of Garibaldi. So we will order him to. We will say, hey, language, my guy. He's replaced by a jingoist who's happy with us. Oh my god, do we get to dodge the rev? Do we get to dodge the rev? Oh man. The Artful Dodger, right? The Artful Dodger himself. Charles Dickens always escapes the rev. That's actually insane. That's so good for us. Okay, so the trade unionist is now, of course, pissed. Maybe we could even try and... If we could get the trade unions in power, though... Oh, God, it's so obnoxious. So, these guys, the Intelligentsia want to join the Charterist Party. They can't join the or we can't reform the government is one of the really big problems here. But if we could just figure out something that we can pass that the Intelligentsia likes, all would be well. All would be well in the world. This guy's, of course, scarred from the assassination attempt. But it do be like that sometimes when you write like Charles Dickens. Okay, we've raked back the enormous amount of authority that we're getting from having a bunch of extra subjects once the autonomy was reduced on the EIC, and we were using it to bolster and suppress, but instead we're putting in a whole bunch of stuff, including a ton of migration attraction edicts. I imagine now we will be kind of really outperforming the USA when it comes to our ability to attract mass migration. So let's just take a look. Mass migration attraction. We're at 79. USA is not even here. Who's River Plate? That ain't us. Wait, where is the USA in here? Wait, what? What? Has no eligible states. USA, are you okay? Did you close your borders? Oh my god. Oh my god. This is the worst timeline. Give me your nobody. We ain't taking nothing from you. Give me your no one. Stay out. Get out of here. No one's allowed. We do manage with our very filthy no good war to get a Prussian German leadership. Of course, they are still isolated in the North Rhine. They transferred us the Rhineland, and so that's coming up good. Over here, we're about to start enforcing on Russia because we landed, and I think that the United Baltic provinces are maybe the easiest way to get in. If you just make sure that they're in the war, I think that Russia doesn't defend them with their units that they stack over here because it's a different strategic region, and so you could just land in Livonia and then push over very, very easily into the Russian capital. So I think that's probably going to be a play pattern that is going to be fit in. We are holding here easily, defending very, very easily against them, especially with the Circassian bonuses, and once we get on the capital, we will start enforcing all the other stuff, which look at all this stuff that is going to be going in on them. We actually probably should have made a subject out of Circassia instead of releasing this business, but this is going to absolutely crush them with the disrupt the Russian Caucasus portion, and then we sided in to help the USA out because obviously they are not accepting our poor huddled masses, and so if they're not going to accept our poor huddled masses, we're okay with them. So we are going to send some troops over, and we transferred in over for, I think, Iowa, which won't be given until the war breaks out, but I believe that's what we transferred for, or South Dakota. Okay, fair enough, same thing. The reason this is so easy for us to transfer is because there's no population here, and it is, of course, getting 0 weekly migration because they don't believe in that sort of thing here in America. So we've been stuck in a little bit of a spot where we can't pass any laws, basically, because we can't reform our government in the slightest way because the intelligentsia want to be with the petite bourgeoisie. By the way, the minus 30% loan interest rate is absolutely insane if we were actually deficit spending, but we're going to try and get on that a little bit. The bankrolls are still coming in strong, although we are down to our very last bankroll, but now our puppets are giving a pretty big contribution now that we have all the Indian ones as well. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to swap up our research because and go for human rights, because I think we can make the intelligentsia happy with us. If only we sent and took the children out of the mines, because Charles Dickens, of course, is a big fan of children not working and children being able to eat and stuff like this, which is silly, but we are going to be able to pass compulsory primary school if we had human rights technology, and doing that would bring the intelligentsia up to plus, or it'll be about +5. They're still really mad at us. They're still really, really mad, but if we can ever get them unmad, we can actually do something, and so that's what we're going to try and do. Alright, and we are about to enforce on Russia here, which will, of course, make it so that Kuban is owned by Circassia, which means that we will have successfully disrupted the Russian Caucasus. The USA is inviting us to give us investment rights. I don't know if we want to do that, to be honest. Are they even... do they have their own power block is kind of the biggest question. They do have their own power block. Or wait, are they? No, they're just being influenced. Well, we could maybe try and pull the USA into our block. That'd actually be kind of neat. Okay, we'll take the foreign investment rights there, but we really did want to focus on, we're winning the great game here. The great game is great, and with that, we complete the journal entry, and we get the great game. Oh, it's just like... Oh, wait, okay, there's all the progress. The loud car arrives just in time for us to win the great game. Surely this is a victory for us. Right? Kazakh revolt was a Russian victory. Terrible. I guess the Afghan protectorate? How is that inconclusive, bro? We protectorated them. Oh, Macron is a subject of a subject? Is it this little snippet here? Why is the great game not done yet? If it's so great, why isn't it finished already? Well, they will have to release the Kazakhs. We see that Dagestan is kind of being free. Circassia is big and caked up. Somehow they have poor relations with us. That seems kind of wrong. But Kazakh Khanate we will probably run a whole bunch of trade with. And especially the trade will, of course, increase our Diplo potential. I think we kind of want to start annexing subjects or somehow finding ways to increase trade route number. We have an enormous amount of Diplo, yet despite all that, we're still running out of Diplo and we can't make some of the moves we want to make. But we will run a whole bunch of trade with the Kazakhs here. We will be finishing or helping out finish this war over here with the USA, maybe trying to pull them into our power block, because if we pull them into our power block, we can subjugate them for free, which would be enormous for us, and then eventually annex them. Their population's not going up, so it's not going to be that expensive an annex. Well, okay, it's not that. That's not their population. Their population is like 20 million, but that overall, that's not too bad. And we will be able to maybe do something with that regarding power blocks. In terms of GPs, the amount of GPs left on the map here does include, okay, the capitalist revolt is included in that, so maybe it's not going to be possible for us to be able to subjugate them, but it is Belgium's a GP. Wait, what the hell? Okay, Belgium's a GP. We have a bunch of leverage over them, but they're a GP. Wow. I mean, we built in their country. Incredible. So Belgium and Austria and Russia are kind of the big ones, and we got some wee-woos outside. Well, it looks like the yo-yo sway, insofar as it comes to bankrolls, might be still around. We managed to get a sway over kind of a silly thing for Return Haiti, San Domingo, and of course this bankroll is going to absolutely allow us to crank up. We had been kind of chilling out with the understanding that our bankrolls were going to go away, and we were thinking that we were going to start losing a lot of money, and we wanted to have a nice little buffer so that we would have a little bit of a smooth ride, but smoothness be damned. We're just going to blast a little bit here. This is where we have an enormous amount of pops, so we're going to be building there at least for a little bit. We're going to build a little bit down here as well. We are using some migration attraction edicts down here, and we want to crank up somewhat. I think that we are using some decrees over here that's maybe not the best, so we're going to come in here and we are going to stop the mass migration attraction to these two states, and instead we're going to bring it down to here in Freistadt, which is going to be an absolute fantastic state if we can get any sort of migration going there. We could do Kazembe or some of these. These are some good states down here. I don't think we are going to. We could, of course, use the edicts. Actually, let's do Mato Grosso. Maybe? Guyana's okay. We're going to do Guyana. It's already incorporated, so it's eligible for mass migration. And we could use more pops here anyways to help with kind of resolving the journal entry for... is it even in here right now? I guess it's not in here yet, but for getting rid of and bringing up these places, getting rid of the Amazon bonus, or malice rather. I think that we get it, we unlock it with rubber mastication is where we unlock the journal entries, so we'll put that in next. Again, still going for human rights because we do want to be able to pass some laws so that our Intelligentsia, whose hate is forever, but is now at -19, so that's not -20, is going to be able to help us. Yeah, the failed petition is a bit of a rough one. We're getting a ton of mass migrations. We're using a ton of mass migration edicts. I think we're going to come in here and at least prepare. We're not going to go onto it just quite yet. We're going to stay on construction one, but we're going to prepare for freedom of movement because fundamentally what's really kind of slowing us down is that these places that we have caked up with a ton of decrees, you know, and a ton of stuff going on, they are running into population problems. They do not have enough laborers, and so I think that we're going to focus on that and try and bring that up with the very, very strong freedom movement. And so to that end, we are going to want to put a level 1 university in all of these places and a level 1 arts academy. And so when this finishes, or by the time this finishes, we'll be in really good shape here. I think we do have level 1 uni in several of these places, but we'll also make sure that the number of unis we have in places makes sense. Like, we don't need 5 here for the NAT spread, but we're going to add unis everywhere where we specifically are really trying to encourage migration, and we will also add arts academies because those will give a 20% bonus to migration attraction from the superior PM point on these freedom of movement. If we come here, we see increased exchange, plus 20%, and it is local. So we'll build all those up. Victoria of Hanover, a notorious troublemaker, has established herself in Nova Scotia. She has used the country's independent law enforcement to avoid arrest by our own lawmen. Not like this. Demand her extradition. Raid Hanover in Nova Scotia with our own men. We don't want her to die. What happens if we get extradition, though? We don't want to just kill Victoria. Alright, Nova Scotia gets extradition. Let's see what they say. We want her back, except not really. We got someone else in charge now, by the name of Charles Dickens. Well, it looks like she has accepted a request and returned to us imprisoned. How does that work? Okay, well... Do we have a modifier? We imprisoned Victoria? Not like this. This is the worst timeline. Charles Dickens was like, you know what? You should have given that boy some more porridge. Now we're going to imprison the old queen. So we are up to 100 million pops and 2K construction. So pretty good for 20 years in. I think if we take a look at our mass migration attraction, now that a lot of these are still in the queue, but a lot of them are still starting to finish, we do see we're up to 150. But Sweden's actually really nice in that regard because they have a lot of universities and they are our subjects. So now they're benefiting from that as well. So wouldn't be surprised to see if Sweden gets way more populated than they kind of do normally. And as a result, oh wait, are you closed borders, Sweden? Wait, why are you getting no migration? The hell? But the migration, I guess they're not getting migration. Look at the amount of migration we're getting. We're getting 250,000 a year in home counties without a mass migration. With a mass migration here, we're getting 150,000, you know, a little over 150,000 up here, close to 200,000. And then look at Lancashire, where we are getting 500,000 annual projected migration. Absolutely insane. And so we are going to be able to really allow in a lot more migrants and get going up here. And so we are starting to build tall in the British Isles. Now, of course, most of our, you know, pops are still, or not most of our pops, but the biggest chunk of pops is still this 30 million that is over here. We have unemployment there. We have peasants there. We really want to siphon these guys out from here, and we're working towards that. We're also incorporating just another 6 years on Beijing, and then we'll gain access to the Kaiping Mining Company. But if we take a look at our graph, which isn't very telling yet, we can see this kind of sharp uptick. I believe this is when we swapped over onto freedom of movement. So it's already kind of paying off pretty nicely. And then from human rights, okay, it's a little tempting to go right into mastication as we were trying to do before, but I think we might just go feminism because we're already there and look to pass multiculturalism following that and then come back to the rubber mastication. Unfortunately, also news on these guys, unfortunately the leader we had in charge died, and we weren't maybe as proactive as we could have been about ensuring that our most popular guy would be, actually this guy's a historic person, so he just took charge anyways, but he's a pacifist, so we hate that, and he hates us as it goes. Alright, so we are going to be able to annex Persia for just 10 infamy. Now, we would hover over stuff, but for whatever reason, this tooltip's not able to lock, but we are getting a ton of stacked minus chance. Now, this isn't stacking additively, I don't think, otherwise it's minus 75% cost, but maybe it is stacking additively, where we are getting minus 20% from Charles Dickens because he's cautious, minus 35% from technology from both colonialization and from civilizing mission, and then finally minus 20% from level 4 of colonial affairs. And if these are stacking additively, which normally it's about 40, so this kind of does look like it's stacking additively, this means that increasing marginal returns on this. I think it must stack multiplicatively with what we will eventually get in multilateral alliances, which further decreases infamy generation, so this would only be 7 infamy, but we are going to just go for it and annex Persia. It's your boy. I do believe this gives us a long-term malice to infamy, or to accept liberty desire. So this is going to be something we have to deal with. We are currently trying to deal with some of the Indian nations that really hate our guts. I think we've maybe had to fight them in a couple spots or something like this, but we're kind of holding everything together, but expecting to see this move in the other direction once Persia refuses demands, or once we fully annex Persia. But we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a play. Russia might get involved, probably not, and we are going to be annexing Persia. Can't put in any war goals. We kind of hope hope that Russia joins. That way we get to beat them up some more. But this will allow us to colonize in here, and also I think the Afghan mission maybe requires us to go after these guys. I'm not entirely sure, but we will be able to go after these guys once we annex Persia. And there's also just a ton of resources in Persia. It's a very, very strong area to have. Also a lot of arable land, a lot of it's unused, kind of at game start. We don't know the exact situation with them as it is right now, but I'm pretty sure they should have a lot of unused arable land. And so once we incorporate this is actually going to be pretty good for mass migration attraction as well, on top of just overall there being an enormous amount of resources here. So we are starting to get several Indian revolts cropping up, and I think the reason why is that we have requested or tried to get our subjects to start passing no migration controls, and I think this is provoking the revolutions. We see there's a political movement for preserved close borders, so this is it. But we'll just clap these revs on behalf of our subjects and get them onto no migration controls. We tried to do that with the Raj, but they were not able to pass it. But every single one of these guys we have asked that they try and pass it, and if any of these guys manage to pass it through, which I expect a non-zero amount of them should, this will allow them to start migrating to our nation with our new and improved extra big migration attraction. Yeah, I was a little bit worried about this. The timed modifier Overlord has annexed I don't know how long this modifier is for. Overlord has annexed another member, which of course makes people very, very unwilling to join in. If we find someone, maybe we could see what exactly this modifier is about. Our Overlord annexed another subject, so it's going to be for 5 years, so we're going to have a little bit of a bumpy time for the next 5 years in regards to our subjects' autonomy, which means it's going to be harder for us to generate any sort of mandate, but of course we're basically kind of locked in on what we want for mandate anyway, so it's really not that big a deal. There's maybe a world where we want to get off of colonial offices if we're going to go offense, or if we're going to go high infamy anyways, but like overall I think that these are pretty nice for what we're trying to do, where we're kind of more focused on building tall over here than we are necessarily building wide. Weekly migration attraction is still really, really high in all these places. We are also starting to build up in other places as best we can. We're starting to build up over here, as this is a fairly solid place to be building up, and it's also notably, if you do a bunch of heavy industry in China, one of the problems is it's going to eventually cost a lot of convoys, and so by building up closer, it's going to be a little bit less on the convoys. You know, we would prefer to build in good states over here than necessarily absolutely crank up in China because of these convoy issues. And so we would rather the Han Pops leave and go elsewhere. Speaking of, let's take a quick look and see if we can see where they are in our nation. We see that, okay, they're still mostly over here, but are we getting any cultural communities anywhere? Especially here? No, we have a couple cultural communities, so we're 250,000 over here. We got 1/8 of a million, and somewhere between 1/8 and 250,000, so we are starting to form some cultural communities, which is going to be nice. Cultural communities over here would be really nice, but alas, poor Yorick, we knew him well. We are getting some migration attraction over here, though, with our edicts, and so that'll help out quite a bit. Also help for the establishment of some of these migration or cultural communities, and then we can build up here as we're going to want to do once we get the rubber plantations, because it makes these states into really, really good states. I don't know if the USA is going to ever recover. We're taking a little bit of a strategy here where we are going to fully expand out the fish inside of their market, and then we are going to import fish, which is going to create more sell orders for fish in our market, which is going to decrease the demand for grain, which is going to make it so our auto queue is less oriented towards the manor houses, but also we're hoping that by unbalancing their economy towards fish, we can maybe get a bit more power block influence on them, because we see that, hey, this is like within the realm, right? We have quite a bit of influence. If we got a bunch of other agreements, we might be able to pull them into our power block, and then with the Sovereign Empire, we can turn them into a subject once they're in our power block. So that is very attractive. Of course, all of our subjects are pissed at us right now because it do be like that, so yeah. Okay, we've been getting these events because we've been stamping down on slavery in Brazil, and normally we would never go for 4 infamy in order to do like anything like this, but we do want to be able to pass laws And our Intelligentsia guy, well, I guess he's kind of calming down. We're gonna, but this is gonna give 5 years, and this is not decaying. I think we're gonna actually do this so that our internal political situation actually becomes tenable at some point in the near future, and so we can get onto multiculturalism faster. We are hoping a little bit of a weird situation, but once these guys get under 10, maybe they allow us to, or under -10, or over -10 rather, maybe they allow us to slot them into government, and so that we could try and pass something useful, or even pass compulsory primary school much faster. I think we're going to conclude the episode here. Kind of a lot happened. We had the revolution that never happened. That, of course, didn't happen. We also got a funny little event where we apparently clapped Victoria in irons, imprisoning her, which was a little bit amusing. We annexed Persia, and we not only hit 100 million GDP this episode, we also hit 200 million GDP this episode, and 100 million pops, so really cranking up quite strongly, really taking advantage of all the stacked infamy reduction modifiers. We're going after some of Manchuria right now. We didn't want to take it all in one bite, and we wanted to make sure that if they back down, we would get refunded, or it wouldn't cost us very much infamy, so we just put in 2 war goals. In 5 years, we'll probably just annex everything from them, so that'll be really good. Yeah, things are coming quite along. This run still feels super pushed, despite the fact that the yo-yo sways aren't quite working as well as they used to. We saw a couple spots where we would have normally been able to sway for something and we couldn't. We see that France is still bankrolling us. I'm not sure how long that will last. I'm not sure if we'll be able to sustain 2300 construction. The USA, notably, is having a little bit of a comeback. I wonder if they're back up to major powers, so the time is kind of limited to be able to pull them into our block, I think. Although we are purchasing a whole bunch of stuff, I think that they are going to wear out their bankruptcy modifier and then probably become a GP again, unfortunately. But we will have positive relations and a trade agreement and foreign investment rights with them for at least some time. Haven't been able to, been a little bit sticky on Ukraine, getting them into the power block, and the main reason is we do not have enough cohesion, and the cohesion, unfortunately, we are getting significant negative modifiers from these guys being really wanting to leave. British Raj is at 1 max infamy desire. This is a consequence of annexing Persia. In retrospect, probably a little bit of a mistake, because this makes it harder for us to pull in new members, and we want to pull in and subjugate new members pretty badly. We're trying to crank up our prestige a little bit by building some navy. It's still in the queue, so it's not going to be completed yet, and so that's going to be something we maybe focus on after this. After rubber mastication, which I think we do want to finish, we probably go for something like ironclads and gantry cranes, something like this to be able to come on up. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Do the YouTube algorithm thing. There are links below for various things. And other than that, have a good day.